Hey everybody, this is John. Welcome to the free video. So earnings. There's a couple of stocks that came out today that had pretty big earnings. Twitter's down $2 after hour, a little bit more than the expected move. The big news though came from Apple. So Apple reported, I think this is off the top of my head, like $52 million in sales. And that was in line with what they had kind of said back in January, but they're looking at it. This is the first time year-over-year sales of the iPhone has been lower, iPad lower, and Mac's lower. So even though they still made $10 billion in net income, and they're doing like another $50 billion in buybacks, you can see the stock here just. And this is actually a pounding. Because the expected move was $4.35, and you can see it's clearly 2 times that expected move, and that just simply means it was unexpected. So as you can imagine, if you have something that's unexpected, it's such a big company, it's going to impact the overall markets. So if you look at the Nasdaq here, where it was when Apple. Just before Apple earnings was sitting at 44.50. Here we are at 44.07. So it's actually, and this is really just on the back. This is all prompted by Apple, and then the question is will it be able to recover tomorrow? And the main thing to keep in mind here is that we have we've got a technical break here, which we have not seen in the markets in a while, and meaning if we go back here, let's see. So this was the last ascending wedge that the Nasdaq had. And what an ascending wedge is, it's wide, gets narrow, and then when you break, in this case, when you have an ascending wedge to the upside, when it breaks the downside, it's generally a pretty solid sell signal. And what we have here right now is another one. We've had another ascending wedge that's been developing for some time. And you can see that it is broke. We're through it. And if you look at this, it's the exact same pattern. And it's an interesting time here simply because while the Nasdaq is showing some chinks in the armor here and it's actually got a squeeze and could actually sell off pretty good here, you've got the Russell doing just fine. And this is largely on the back of energy. Oil prices are trying to stabilize. And the Russell has a lot of smaller oil companies and a lot of bigger ones too. And like EOGs is on fire here, and this is one of the bigger companies. But you can see that while the Apples of the world here are having some problems, we are, in terms of the overall indexes, seeing a little rebalancing here by the energy sector. So what I'm anticipating tomorrow is that the S&P 500 actually does okay, then the Nasdaq gets smoked. And just keep in mind that yes, Apple's going to affect the S&Ps, but right now you got energy and even financials doing okay, and the S&P 500 is a very well balanced index as opposed to the Nasdaq, which is very tech heavy. And if we look here at tech, the tech sector, we can see more of that topping, rollover, and a squeeze right there. Okay. So one thing that's super important in this kind of environment, because there's a lot of changes happening, there's a lot of correlations falling apart, and at the end of the day, the thing that's going to save you is your brain, that 7-inch gap between your ears, and that's all it comes down to in situations like this. Because if you panic, or if you freeze, or if you unconsciously roll into bad habits, okay, it's going to be very, very, very tough. I think you guys know that. I mean, my my mentor and hero in this department was the late Mark Douglas. Very, very surprising, unexpected with his passing last August. And he, back in March of last year, we had an event, or November of last year, we had an event. And it was a live event. It was the last time Mark spoke in public, and it was when he had finished, essentially was putting the finishing touches on his 3rd book and final book, and just had a wealth of information. I was furiously taking notes through that, and so this has never been released to the public. This is, I mean, to me, it kind of puts it's the bow on top of any psychological stuff that you may have been thinking or going through. If you're a fan of Mark, it takes it to the next level. If this is new stuff for you, this, I mean, you can't trade without this kind of information. So you can go through this and read the bullets if you like. I mean, I think when you get the whole psychology of it, I mean, you're just, the four core fears that plague almost every trader and the powerful one-time attitude tweak that just erases them all. I mean, these are things that just can make or break your trading. So we're super excited about that. We've got two bonuses that are lined up with this. First, you'll also get online access to Paula Webb. She came and did a talk with us over the course of an hour, and it's essentially a person's relationship to money, which is fairly fascinating. And then bonus number 2, it's called the Billionaire Mindset, and it's essentially profitable trading lessons that I've learned from my last trip on Necker Island. So for those of you that didn't know, I was my wife and I and kids. We were in Necker Island this couple weeks ago, beginning of April. Time flies. And what's great is you just sit there and we meet there. I've been going there like once a year with a group, and it's great. Richard's there and answers questions. You can have all kinds of one-on-one dialogues with him. And I just learned a lot of stuff and took a lot of great notes. And so some of it's trading related because he's an investor. He actually does, he doesn't push the buttons himself, but he has a fairly active trading operation. But also just in general. I mean, it's pretty fascinating just to kind of watch how he operates. He's got interests in over 300 companies, yet he's able to live on an island, and just kind of how he has his life organized and everything like that. All right, so this package. So again, the videos. He spoke for 2 half days. So that's the video footage of Mark Douglas. Again, that was the last talk he did in public and kind of wraps everything together. I mean, again, furiously taking notes during that whole presentation. And then you can see Paula's talk on your relationship with money. And then we're going to do this in about 3 weeks. We're trying to figure out the best kind of date and time to do it. But it'd be about a 2-hour class. And we'll go through that and get you guys the information. And $397 for the package. I think this is something where you go through the videos and all that kind of stuff, and this pays for itself 1,000 times over, because these are lessons that not only do you apply to all your trading, but it's life lessons too, just in general, dealing with this kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm super excited. I hope you like it and take advantage of it, and you guys have good trading, and we'll see you at the next update.